being the shy introvert that I am. It sounds kind of funny to put out videos that everyone can see, but as time went on, I realized I didn't have any rejection. I wasn't communicating with anyone. It was just me and the camera. I was, by myself in my happy place, and that made things a little bit more comfortable.
All right, good morning, Momentum Tribe. We're really excited to have Donavan Arnold with us today, who has consistently generated multi-million dollars of sales each year using YouTube. He's going to be sharing his introvert's guide to success in real estate. People know Donavan as the guy who doesn't like people. And so it's the joke that he said at one of our events, and people really like that. He's like, I want to find a way to do business in a different way, the non-traditional way that agents do it. And so he found his own path forward, and he'll be sharing with us today how he does his business consistently year after year in a different way. And so we hope to learn from him. If you have questions, he's probably going to do a presentation for 20 to 30 minutes. We'll have questions for 15, 20, and then we'll wrap from there. So Donavan, take us away. Let's hear a little bit about your story.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the introduction as much as I wish I could say I love being here. As of yesterday, I was kind of completely regretting my decision to tell John, I'd love to teach a class. This year, I want to get myself out there. We all make mistakes, and so we're going to deal with that today. But as John said, made a joke about not liking people. I didn't think it was a joke at the time. I don't know if I'm by definition an introvert, but I do pretty much everything I can to avoid people and avoid groups. That leads us here today. My hope is that I can just share a little bit about the process I've gone through to hopefully make it easier on anyone else out there that was kind of like me, completely questioning why I got into real estate, what I was thinking, what I thought I was doing. To take you back a little bit history, got into real estate 2011 part-time, was working at UPS. Then fast forward 2016, during that time I would do like 1 million in production-ish, maybe a little bit more, just a few deals here and there. Started a team with a partner in 2016 and also went full-time 2016. During that time, got into any coaching I could, from Mike Ferry to Joshua Smith, GSD, did Bold, MAPS coaching, went through it all and would hear all the different things about door knocking and open houses, and all of it sounded terrible. Everyone would say, don't be the secret agent. And all I could think was like, challenge accepted. Like, I don't want anyone to know who I am, and I'd prefer they not know what I do, but I still need to make some money. That was the constant struggle for me. Moving ahead, 2019, I separated from partnership, dissolved the team. During that time, we would do maybe 10 million-ish in production with, 2 to 4 agents at any time. Joined KW expansion team. And again, I still didn't know really who I was or what I was doing, which is why I joined that team and immediately signed up for a lead lever of cold calling. Within 6 months, pretty much absolutely hated real estate and hated every day calling people who didn't want to talk to me, who I didn't want to talk to. Business was pretty poor. I would do, I was doing, I think 2019, roughly 2.5 million in production. So, at a glance, it was okay. But when you hate waking up and doing it that way, it made it a struggle. So it's pretty much ready to quit altogether. And I happened to find another guy on YouTube who was in real estate, and he was just a couple of, maybe a month ahead of me. He had just started a YouTube channel, and I was basically able to walk right behind him week over week, learning what he was doing, how he was doing it. When he was failing, he was sharing that, and I was learning pretty quickly. I never signed up for any classes or took any courses on video, had no video experience, but November 2019, started publishing videos, committed to do the rest of the year. I didn't have any business, so the rest of the year I was going to do a video a week, and I stuck to that. Within about 5-ish weeks, I actually got a phone call. Prior to that, it was really just my mom and my wife watching the videos. I would get 10 to 50 views And most of those were people I was begging to watch because I didn't know what else to do. But ended up getting a call a couple weeks later and closed the first YouTube buyer in February. So once I got that call and a closing, I was hooked. I figured like, this has got a chance. It could work. Fast forward to last year, a little over 13 million in production. Of that, 8 million straight from YouTube, typically just from YouTube views, anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 views. And at this point, over 200 videos published. Being the shy introvert that I am, it sounds kind of funny to put out videos that everyone can see. But as time went on, I realized I didn't have any rejection. I wasn't communicating with anyone. It was just me and the camera. So I was, by myself in my happy place, and that made things a little bit more comfortable. Wasn't having to door knock and get shut down. I slowly realized that YouTube would provide me a self-selecting audience. Like, people would click the videos, and if they hated me, they would go away. And if they liked me, they'd call. And so that left me a base of great customers who are reaching out, who are grateful to work with me and grateful that I was answering the phone. So that's sort of the why of YouTube. One, it allowed me just to talk with fewer people, which was great. Also allowed me to stay home. I wasn't out on the street door knocking, trying to go to networking events, anything like that. It was also free. Like I said, it wasn't doing a lot of business, so I didn't have much to spend, but I was doing all the editing, recording, writing, all of that stuff myself. It also put me in front of people top of funnel. So, if you're getting, leads off Zillow, someone wants to go see a house today, consider that sort of bottom of funnel. They're ready to write an offer. I couldn't really compete with that since I wasn't spending any money. So I wanted to talk to people as soon as they realized they may be moving to my area. I wanted them to realize who I was and get to know me. And that is what YouTube provided. It was also search-based. YouTube is obviously a search-based platform. So if people are looking for questions or looking for answers and they have questions, I could very easily research what questions they have, make a video specifically answering that question, and YouTube would connect us. It was really easy for me to see the connection and why it would work. It took some time to actually get it working, but I still, versus like Facebook and some of the other platforms that people just scroll on, and people get business, so anything works, but I couldn't figure out how to get business from some of those other platforms. But YouTube, again, people had a question. If I could provide the answer in a clear way, they would end up calling me. So again, for today, a few goals. I just wanted to walk you guys through sort of what I've done, the process, and hopefully at the end of it, if you're interested at all in video, doing business a slightly different way, through this presentation, you would have kind of a clear-cut way of doing it and, a step-by-step process. One of the first things is just accepting the fear of it. No one likes to be on camera. I mean, some people may, but most people don't like hearing their voice. I was no different, am no different. Even now, other than the edit, I'm never going to go back and watch a video of mine. It's painful, even after doing it for this long. The only thing that sort of kept me going was once I realized people don't care what I look like, what I sound like. They just have a serious question that needs an answer. And in general, they didn't care who provided it. So, I didn't really matter to them for the most part. They just want their question answered. Beyond that, it's just like anything else that you haven't done before. You're going to suck at it. You're going to be bad. You shouldn't expect to be good. But through a process of practice and doing it over and over, you'll get better. But you have to start somewhere. Acknowledging that you're just going to be bad at it is a reasonable place to start. One thing I hear a lot is there's already an agent in my market. And if any of you guys are in Gainesville, haven't gone through the list, you can just click off this is not for you. Just kidding. You guys, there's plenty of business for everyone. I kind of mean that. If you're in Gainesville, I don't feel like YouTube is a place for you, but whatever. Mainly once you jump on YouTube, if there's an agent there, you just have to be yourself. Like I said, it's a self-selecting audience. So there's going to be someone out there for everyone. I'm not very analytical. Like, I'm not going to dive deep into the numbers and all the market stats and all that stuff. I'm more on the emotional, like I just want to connect with people emotionally, get them to love the house, and let's move forward. So figure out who you are and just focus on that, being yourself. Then once we actually dive into starting to make videos, do your research. If you've got an agent in your marketplace, they've already put out videos. You can look and see what's worked and what's not. Study their top 3 most viewed videos. What is working really well for them? What do you feel like they left out? And remake those videos. Start there, make those videos. You already know there's an audience for it, but just do it your way with your voice and your style. YouTube wants people on their platform as long as possible. That will allow more ads to be shown and more money to be made. So if an agent in your market has done an awesome video and it's 6 minutes, ideally get it up to 8 minutes. That allows YouTube to put an extra ad in that video, anything over 8 minutes. So, but don't fill it with fluff. Like, it needs to be value. Don't just make a long video to make it long. Then do what you can to make the title and thumbnail better than that other agent, more engaging, more clickable, whatever it is. Then as you're studying the other agents in the market, what are they doing? Is it talking head, like them sitting at a desk, or are they walking around in the town? How often are they publishing videos, weekly, monthly? Are they doing shorts, and are they doing live streams? If there's anything in there that they're not doing that you feel comfortable doing or feel like you can do, it's just an opportunity to separate yourself. So shorts are still one of those things. If you're just starting, probably do them. It'll expose you to an audience. It'll get you some views quickly and hopefully transition people to the longer form stuff. The live streams are great because they will give the audience a chance to connect with you and ask questions live. A lot of people won't do live streams because it's uncomfortable. But if you can get over that, and again, just remember that you're there to help people and that they don't really care if you stutter or you mess up. Like, you're still human. They'll appreciate that you're just showing up for them and willing to answer questions. So figure out where you can separate yourselves and what the other agents aren't doing, if there's something you can do. After that, you really need to figure out your audience. I didn't realize at the beginning who I wanted to work with. It just naturally came out in the videos. I was including my family. Like, we would go around town to the playgrounds, hanging out with my kids and just showing people things to do in town. And so then the people that started calling were just like me. They had kids who were young and active, and we related over that. If you're looking to work with higher end buyers, don't go show them affordable housing. Like, just figure out who you want to work with and then what their pain points are, what they struggle with, what they're curious about, what they want to know, and just make videos answering those questions. And you'd be surprised how quickly you start connecting. But you do need to sort of dial in on who your ideal customer is. Again, for me, there's very few people I want to talk to. And so if they're not lining up in a certain column, like it just, I know it's not going to work. So I don't even waste my time with it. So as much as I can squeeze people into that box, I know we're going to work. I know we're going to gel. And I don't have to, sort of stress or worry about it, because we're going to be in alignment from day one. When it comes to research, I mean, YouTube's great. There's so much information out there. YouTube is the research tool. Like, anything you want to know, you can find on there. But when it comes to local videos that you want to create, you need to start typing in your town, see what's popping up automatically. And then again, see what the results are. See how you can improve on the videos that are already out there. Same thing with Google. Figure out the questions that people are already asking and then make great videos answering those questions as directly as possible. Another thing that I do, when I first started, there was one agent in my market doing videos, and I would go through her videos and look at the comments, and there's sometimes reoccurring comments of questions from people. And again, that's potentially your potential customer, your target audience. So use that as an opportunity to create new videos based on their questions and comments. You can also check out TubeBuddy or vidIQ. those. They have free versions, but also paid versions that'll provide you some additional insights and maybe help shorten the learning curve a bit. Answer the Public is another great resource to get ideas of questions that you can go ahead and start answering. I'm going to kind of go through this and get to any questions you guys have, but overall, you want to just keep things super simple when it comes to equipment. Again, this has been a while that I've been doing videos now, and I've got someone that helps me, but for 3-ish years, it was cell phone sitting next to a window or walking around neighborhoods with a gimbal. The most important thing is probably going to be your audio. A cheap microphone, like $50 would be fine, something simple. People aren't very patient with crappy audio, so you want to make sure the audio is on point. When it comes to lighting, you can get a softbox, but like you can see, I was just set up next to a window, get a natural light. It can be super simple. We tend to overcomplicate things, but again, like when you went to YouTube last and had a problem, like your faucet was leaking or whatever it was, like you don't really care about a lot of the stuff that we as agents are worried about. Like you just want your problem solved as quickly as possible. So don't waste too much time diving into the details of how great the quality is. Like you have a baseline that you need to meet, but beyond that, the benefits aren't really worth it. When we come into the actual structure of a video, the most important thing is going to be that hook. You've got to grab the person in that first 10 seconds with something interesting. They saw your title, they saw your thumbnail, and now very quickly you need to let them know that they're in the right place. They're going to get the information they want. You do not want to start with any sort of introduction about yourself. I'll probably say it a few more times. No one cares who you are, how many homes you've sold. They just don't care. All they want to know is this a safe town to live? What are the best neighborhoods? What are the schools like? Like they want their questions answered. And further over time, they'll get to know who you are, but it's not your job to tell them that you're a top agent in town or you've sold 50 homes or anything like that. So hook them in the first 10 seconds, then give them the value, give them what they're there for. Like they want to know, what are those best neighborhoods? Hey guys, today I'm going to take you around 5 neighborhoods. The first one is like, just get it going. One thing that is kind of delicate is the call to action. You have to include, like, the only reason you're doing this is to make money. Like you want business, you need deals to close. So you need people to call. You got to have a call to action. Everyone can do it differently. You want to do it usually around the middle of the video, I'd say. Don't save it to the very end because half, maybe more of the viewers have already left the video. So you've got your customer watching. You need to invite them to call you. Let them know you love when people reach out. You're happy to answer questions. Tell them, call, text, email, whatever it is. Give them a way to contact you and invite them to do that. Let them know you appreciate it. You're there to help. The only other call to action that I would include is telling them to watch another video. The more videos you can stack up and get them to watch, even without them subscribing or anything, the more often YouTube will put you in front of them. So nowadays, like subscribers, even views are kind of just vanity metrics. I mean, I was doing, I don't know, a few million in production based off of 300 subscribers. Like it really doesn't matter those numbers, but if you can get a few people watching, a few people connecting, they'll start reaching out, but you have to tell them that it's okay to call. If you leave that out, they'll watch for the information and then end up contacting someone else. So just let them know, even multiple times, that you're there to help and that you're inviting them to call. If you're starting a brand new channel, ideally you'd publish the first 3 videos all at once. Again, YouTube wants people on the platform. So if they watch one of your videos, you want to go ahead and roll it right into the next. If you just start a channel with one video at a time, you get that one video out there, you actually get a view, but then they've got nothing else you're not answering any other questions for them. So if you can go ahead and at the beginning publish 3 videos, that'll get them tied into you pretty quickly. And then the next time, hopefully next week, when you publish the next one, they're eager and ready for more information about whatever you're talking about. I would say at minimum, you want to be uploading at least once a week. That's going to be in the longer form content, not shorts. So I would say anywhere from 4 to 10-minute videos, at least once a week. If you have valuable information, stuff that people want to share, and you can put out more, that's fine. But to get a good base going, once a week should get you established. As soon as you publish that video and upload it, make sure you pin a comment. You could either tie it to another related video that you've done or ask a question to get some engagement. YouTube kind of grades the videos on engagement, whether it's, likes or comments. So if you can get the ball rolling with some comments, that can be helpful. So it's still the internet and people are still terrible. So be prepared for some negative comments. Most of it will be about how they hate wherever you live. Like they're just terrible people and they have nothing better to do. Some of it will be personal. As a guy, like I get some of that. The female creators that I talk with get a lot more. And so I would say just be prepared. There are shitty people out there that are going to throw bad comments at you. You can hide them, you can remove them, block them, all of that stuff. If it's a borderline comment that you can tolerate without like egging them on, it's ideal to respond and get more comments going. YouTube does not grade the quality of the comment. They don't say, no, this person hates the video because they wrote this video sucks. Like they just see a comment, they just see engagement. So if you can kind of keep the conversation going, even if they hate your town, it's a lot easier. If they think you're just hideous and stupid, like those are a little bit harder. But you can ask them, where do you live now? What do you like about it? Whatever it may be, the more comments on a video, the better overall. And then one thing where agents mess up a lot is they start sharing it out on Facebook or wherever else. That really confuses the algorithm, because when you send a video out to someone who's not your ideal customer, maybe it's another agent in your market, like now you've got random people watching your videos who aren't your core audience, and then it's confusing to YouTube, so then they don't know who to show it to, and that can really stunt your growth. As slow as it is to start, you really just want to leave YouTube alone and let it organically grow. Again, it can be slow, but you can start doing deals with 50 views on a video. Like I wouldn't get sucked into tracking those numbers too closely, number of views and that sort of thing. Like some of my lowest viewed videos are super deep in the weeds, but the person willing to watch that, who wants that information, is also the person that's going to call. The biggest, most viewed videos I have are broad and generic topics, and that's not going to bring in leads that are, interested in buying a home. So don't get too worried about the metrics, but just let YouTube do its natural organic thing and promote it to the people that should be watching. And then it's just a process of studying what you're doing. Hopefully each video will be a little bit more engaging, a little bit more watchable. The biggest thing is going to be your click-through rate and your impressions. You want to get high impressions. That means YouTube's putting it in front of people, and you want a decent click-through rate. If you're 6, 7, 8% click-through rate, that's probably pretty good. If you can improve that, that's where you want to start. The more people clicking, the more people YouTube will put it in front of. And your average view duration, you can look and see where people jump off of your video. If in the first 10 seconds you lose 70% of your audience, your hook sucks. Like, figure out a different way. But YouTube provides all of these metrics and makes it really simple. They want their creators to keep people on the platform. That's how everyone makes money. So they'll give you the information to do that, but you do have to take some time to go through and look at it. The view duration, you'll lose some people when you do your call to action, but don't let that stop you from doing the call to action, because I've gone through phases where I've tested it, but if you don't tell people to call, they don't call. So I'm willing to lose some viewers when I tell them why they should call and how they should call, because the ones I'm losing aren't interested in working with me. So, we'll let those people go. But the ones who are still watching, they need to know how to contact you, and then just keep making videos. It's even now, like I hate the videos and going through the process, but I can't imagine generating the types of customers I do any other way, and at, such a low cost or expense. The other big benefit that I haven't mentioned is it's evergreen. I've gone through phases where I haven't put out videos for maybe like 2 months and people still call. Like, if you're making the right content and you're making quality content, it'll stay around. So even if you take a break or have a season of life where you're not able to make videos, if the stuff you made was pretty good and people connect with, you don't have to constantly replace it. Now, I usually try to do 2 videos a month. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But it did take a lot of front end work to get to this point. So I kind of ran through everything as quick as I could to get to the beginning and end, but I'm happy to help. If anyone has questions about YouTube, about doing business this way, let me know and we can take it from there. Anything I may have skipped over, John, or went through too quick?
Yeah. So first off, wonderful presentation. I think you had a lot of people cracking up behind the scenes on your sense of humor and all the information that you bring to the table. So thanks for all your honesty that you provide as well, and giving us some context. I think this is a wonderful video. Talk to us more about the evergreen strategy. So when you were back in 2019 and you saw somebody else do YouTube, and did you ever think like, hey, I need to repurpose this to short form content like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or you were just like, I'm just going to do straight up YouTube. It's evergreen. It's going to always be up. What was your thought process around that?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, it was just YouTube. Again, I not liking people. I don't really like social media. Like, I don't know. Not to say I don't care about people, but like, there's a handful of people I'm interested in, but I don't really care about everyone else's kid in the soccer tournament they just won. Like, that's not the way I spend my time. So it's not something I participate too much in and posting. And so I don't really understand the other platforms as well. So initially it was just question, I've got answers, and that was it. In the last year or so, I've tried, repurposing. I've got a VA now who helps with some of that stuff. The only reason I do that is I had a customer reach out and she said, yeah, we found you on YouTube. And then we looked you up on like Facebook and everywhere else, or Instagram, wherever. And you hadn't, posted anything in months. So we didn't know if you were still in business or still doing business. And so then I was like, oh crap. So I'd say if you have accounts on any other platforms, you need to be active. If you're not going to be active, just close the accounts. But whatever accounts you have open, find some, minimum level of activity. So the only reason I repurpose stuff now is for that, just so if people are searching, trying to do extra homework or research on me, they're finding something. But other than that, it's just been YouTube, and, every once in a while we'll mix in market update videos or more timely stuff. I did a few videos on hurricanes. That stuff will initially do really well. But again, that's not talking about a hurricane hitting town is not necessarily going to be your customer watching it anytime soon. So some of those things kind of balance out for some of the vanity metrics, and still getting some views and showing YouTube that you're relevant, you're providing current information. It's all a bit of a balance.
Makes sense. And so the evergreen part of your business model is the most important, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much stuff you can talk about when it's hyper local. So for the most part, I have a handful of topics that I'll make videos on. And then it feels like almost every year I'll just recreate some of my best performing videos because now I'm a little bit better on camera, maybe a little bit better editing, whatever it may be. And when you look at the metrics, I'd have to check mine recently, but it's like 70% of my viewers are new. So once someone moves to Gainesville, either works with me, doesn't, rents, whatever it is, they don't need the information anymore. So typically all of the viewers are new. They don't see all the old stuff. So recreating the same videos in a slightly different way still works. And I mainly do that just because I keep improving the quality, and I'd rather someone find my newest video now that I'm a little bit more polished than my very first video, which is just terrible. That's the only other balance I would say as you're creating videos. Maybe the first couple you don't make them the super broad, like why move to Gainesville. Maybe make it a little more niche because it is probably going to be bad. So I think one of the first ones I did is maybe still one of the highest viewed. It's like the pros and cons of moving to Gainesville. And those types are evergreen. Those will stay consistent, even though I've replaced it, and recreated that exact same video. The initial one just got enough views where YouTube wants to keep promoting it versus my newer stuff. So that's the only balance is keep in mind that if you do some broad topics at the beginning, those could be around for a while. So you might want to sort of test the waters with something that's not going to get as many views to begin with.
Love it. And one of the things that you said, and just to hit on this evergreen point, is there's a lot of agents out there who are running this treadmill of constantly creating new content for TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, right? And it just stays up for a day and then it disappears. But your process is, hey, I can make this long form content. It's going to be up evergreen. People can search it, 2 to 3 years from now, and I can still get business from it. And I can take 2 months off and still have the phone ring.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's even with it being evergreen, I still feel like I have to feed YouTube to keep YouTube happy. So there's a balance. Like I wouldn't disappear for 6 months, but a couple months here and there, it happens versus, again, I just not familiar enough with YouTube or not YouTube, but TikTok and Instagram on how to get views. And again, like are those views, are those people searching for that information, or are they just standing in a checkout line or waiting for their kids' pickup and scrolling across your house tour? Like, is that going to lead to something? It could, but I wanted to reduce the question marks and I wanted to show up in front of people when they were searching for specific things. Then through that, yeah, I mean, and it depends on how competitive your market is. Gainesville is a small town. At the time, there was 1 or 2 other agents. Over the years, there's been a couple agents. But my goal was to try to grow the vanity metrics and have so many videos that it intimidated anyone else from even trying. Like I wanted someone to look at the channel and be like, oh, I'll never get that, and just hopefully kind of convince them to quit before they started. Now, on the back end, if you have an agent like that in your market, there's still room. Like there's still so much opportunity, and maybe just doing something slightly different. I recently started doing like podcast type interview style videos because as agents, there's certain things we can't say about crime or whatever else. So I'll just bring on that police officer and they say, oh, this is a shitty part of town. Like you wouldn't want to live here. Okay, like I'm not going to say any of that, but if someone with a background and has the ability to say it can do it, and then the title is Gainesville a safe place to live? Like people are asking that question, and people will continue to ask that question for years. So, yeah, the goal is just to keep showing up when the questions are being asked, whether you're out of your mouth providing the information or providing the resources to the information. Like you just want to be the one they're seeing.
Love it. All right. So I have one more question, then we'll pass it over to the audience. Who is the demographic that you're looking to create the videos for? And
so for me,
who are the people calling in, right? Because
So for me, it's that sort of, now I'll get people outside of this. But my target, I've actually got a picture up in the office as I'm recording, so I know who I'm talking to. And it's a past customer, a family. They'll typically range from about 35 to 48, usually multiple kids that are between 3 and 12, maybe 15. And they're typically move up buyers. Like they're not, this isn't their first home, but they're slightly higher end. And that's been nice. It's helped push the purchase price up, where the average, I think my average last year was like 450 or something in that range. And, you know, typically a lot of them have been one spouse working, one spouse at home. So again, it's kind of similar to what I was initially putting out. My wife and I would sit in the car, and again, because there are certain things I couldn't say, like I was like, oh, well, she can say all this stuff. She's not licensed. Like, I'll just ask her what she thinks of, you know, crime or schools or whatever, like I was uncomfortable talking about. And, you know, but some people I understand, like now my wife hates being in the videos, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things she doesn't mind doing occasionally. If you don't want to include your kids, you don't want to, like, I get that, but figure out what you are comfortable with and who you want to work with, and then how you can best relate that to them to make the viewer comfortable and connect with you as quickly as possible. Someone who, that's the benefit of trying to stretch out the videos. As long as you're providing content, if someone can watch 3-4 of your videos and they've all of a sudden spent an hour with you, I have people all the time call. They said, oh, my employer, you know, was recommending agents, but we knew we already wanted to work with you. Like, I've never talked to the person. I don't know who they are. I know nothing about them. But like they already know, like, and trust me from the videos. And going back to that introverted nature, like if I can put out a video and get someone to that point without saying a word to them, do that every day, like all nonstop, you know?
That's wonderful. Yeah, you don't have to have the same conversation over and over with people. They can just watch the video and then reach out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it becomes a resource of building rapport once the people reach out. They may have only watched 1 or 2 videos, but then, you know, on your drip campaign or whatever it is, you can start sending them videos. I mean, John had talked about it. I'm not the numbers guy. I don't track anything. Up until last year, I haven't had a database. Like YouTube was my database. YouTube is how I stayed in contact with people. So you know, there's always room for improvement, but it's worked so far.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody at the audience. If you have any questions, now would be the time. We got some questions in the chat. But
Hey, Donovan, I got 2 questions for you, man.
Yes, sir.
One, I follow your videos. I watch you on YouTube. You're great. You do just everything. You got a lot of B-roll. So have you done just, you know, just like you said, the podcast talk, just you're talking head only, or is that just when you knew you started?
Yeah, so I've jumped around from different styles. Initially, I would, especially when I was making them on my own, I would do a lot of B-roll because I hated seeing myself on camera, and I also couldn't remember my lines. So I would typically, like if I was going to talk about the 5 best neighborhoods, I would have a sheet of paper with all the neighborhood details, and I would just say, the first neighborhood we're going through is Hale Plantation, and that was me on camera. And then as I talk about home prices, year build, all of that stuff, it's all B-roll because I couldn't be on camera and remember my lines. The other thing that I learned is people want to see the town. I mean, I started COVID time and people couldn't travel. So outside of a few pictures and a few old blogs, people, like, they just want to see the area. So I think that's been one of my advantages is I would just drive around town holding my arm and cell phone out the window, recording as much as possible because people are either unable to visit or scheduling they couldn't, whatever it may be. And they physically want to see stuff. So as much as you can show the town, I think that's beneficial. It's always show, don't tell is the idea, but that gets harder and harder the more videos you do.
And then the other question is, so on your descriptions, do you have a website now where people can click through after they read through your description and get in contact with you, or you just strictly cell phone and YouTube chat?
So I do, for the most part, people still will just text, call, email. I've added Boomtown, and then I've started doing some landing pages, a super simple Google sheet. Basically did a sales video telling people, like, the video is like the best neighborhood in Gainesville. And then the whole point of the video is basically like, without talking to you, I can't tell you the best neighborhood because it's going to be specific to you and your needs. So in the description, fill out the questionnaire and tell me a little bit about yourself, and then I'll tell you the best neighborhoods. And that was just a super simple Google sheet. And that's been, a little mini lead magnet. But for the most part, it's just calls and text. I will say for the most part, don't answer my phone. I keep my phone on silent, and the people leave a message. And especially if it's after 5 o'clock, I'll get messages like, "Hey, I hope we're not bothering you. You're probably with your family. When you get a chance, please give us a call back." And again, it's because I've shown my family, I've shown, like, yeah, I sell homes and do this real estate stuff, but it's just a part of everything else we have going on. We're at soccer practice, we're at baseball games, like we're at general life stuff. So the people reaching out are super respectful and kind. So for the most part, it's the calls. One thing I will say, the first few videos, I was overlaying my email address on the video, on the actual screen. I probably wouldn't recommend that because I changed companies and I couldn't take my old email off of those videos. So including everything in the description and just telling them, like, my phone number, like, if you're using your cell, like if you have a number or something that's not going to change, then fine. But if you include it in the description, that can always be changed.
Thank you.
Great question. What about others?
Well, if no one else can ask one more question, Donovan, then what's your ROI on, like, I know you have an editor and stuff. Is that helping you save time and money, or what is that doing for you? Having an editor and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's mainly time. The only reason when I would go through phases of not making videos was because I hate the edit. Like, again, if you don't enjoy watching yourself on camera, editing for hours yourself on camera is not ideal. So it saved time. I don't even, again, know the numbers, but it's, again, sort of peace of mind. I think I pay him about $700 per video. I've got a little studio now, but he'll do everything from beginning to end. Sometimes he'll even be helping with scripting, some of those details, but that's allowed me to, for the most part, just show up. And now typically I'll use a teleprompter so I can be on camera more, because that's the balance. People want to see the town, but I also want them to see me and, like, connect with me. So it can't just all be B-roll. So I do use a teleprompter and try to record as quickly as possible, but that's really shortened the process, having an editor. But it's tough to find a decent editor, especially if you're looking online, having him in town where we can sit and review. Because one thing that I did learn as I tried using different editors, people really want, like, kind of shaky, organic, like, raw information. Like, they don't want a hyper-produced commercial. There's a disconnect with that, and then you start to look like a salesperson. So I would say, like, the messy hair, the casual t-shirt, you can't sound like an idiot, but, you can be casual with it, and people will connect with that far more than an overproduced, very fancy video. So if you can keep it simple, that's going to make people more comfortable and more likely to believe what you're saying and connect with it.
Awesome. Love it. All right. So we have some technical questions in the chat. Yeah, someone just asked, what do you use to edit your videos? And it sounds like you outsource that for about $700 a video to somebody locally. Would you recommend that for people from the start, or you think everybody should just start editing their own?
It's so tough. I think it's one of those things. It's helpful to do it yourself at least once, just to know. So if someone is not necessarily taking advantage of you, but, like, I think going through the process, and editing yourself and then figuring out what viewers want is going to be helpful. I was using, prior to the editor, online platform called We Video. There's tons of B-roll. It's not going to be local, but there's tons of B-roll already included, music. It's super simple. It's a notch up from like an iMovie probably. And that was like $30 a month. So if you have no experience with anything, I would probably start there. Just watch a couple of super short videos on how to do it and then just upload and, try to keep it simple and practice on a few different videos, a few different topics. But doing it yourself is going to be helpful in figuring out what works and what doesn't.
Okay, perfect. And then Jay's asking, do you shoot in both vertical and landscape formats or just repurpose from landscape?
To usually just repurposing. I've started trying to do more shorts here and there. I'll say if you have the time to do shorts, and just recording them separate. So repurposing, it's hard to take an 8-minute video and pull out like the best meat of it, because most of that is going to be dragged out over a minute, or it's just really hard. Versus if you can record that 8-minute video and then sort of rescript and chop up and go vertical and just do really punchy, quick shorts and do it separate, that's ideal. But if you're just going to repurpose, that's, I would say, better than nothing.
Yeah, makes sense. Anything else we should know, Donavan, that we didn't touch for today?
No, I mean, I think that probably hits on the highlights. I would say, like, even the people you see out there doing videos, like, a lot of them are still uncomfortable, still hate it. Like, they don't like their voice, they don't like their look, whatever it is. Like, but I'm not the viewer of my videos. Like, I'm not making the videos to watch myself. So I don't necessarily have to love the way I look. That's probably the main thing. Like, just try to set that aside. You may never really get over it, but you can still get through it.
Love it. And you'll get more comfortable over time, I imagine.
Little by little.
Little by little.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, let's give Donavan a round of applause. Thank you so much, Donavan, for coming on. This was a tremendous presentation, really straight to the point. You're very entertaining. You can see why people reach out to you on YouTube. You're very likable because of how direct and honest you are. And so appreciate you sharing what you know with us today. If people have questions for Donavan, where can people find you? Should they go to your YouTube channel or...
Yeah, I mean, depending, we can throw a phone number out there. If you want to shoot me a text, that's fine. I'm happy to help. Like, I wish I would have had someone directly providing some insight one-on-one, and I'm happy to do that. It's all a struggle, but we can work together and help each other out. So if someone needs me, Donavan at Living in Gainesville is the email. And then depending phone number, 352-281-1188, and can reach out. I'm around.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Donavan. Congratulations on your success, and thanks for showing up big today.
Absolutely.
All right. Talk later, everybody. See you later.